Hello darlings, Christina Marie here with another book video. I'm trying to stagger my videos, beauty, fashion, or music, and books. So, grant me some mercy and some patience while I try and figure this out. But, yes, this video is my top 10 most influential books. My personal list is the list that I have comprised over the past week or so after seriously thinking about what books have inspired me the most. So I thought I would go ahead and share that list with you. So let's dive on in. First of all, I want you to know how hard it was for me to choose just 10 books. I did end up choosing like 13, but I cut off the final 3 because it's like, no, Christina, 10. Okay, and I stuck to it. So some of them I own, others were library books that I have every intention of owning in the future. I just haven't gotten around to purchasing them yet. And I'll let you know what those are and I'll insert them here or something. First book is by Madeleine L'Engle and it's called Walking on Water, Reflections on Faith and Art. And here is the book here. As you can see, this book got a lot of love from me. This is the book that inspired me and convinced me to start writing. I had always wanted to write. I had always wanted to express an opinion. I have an opinion about things, but it was just really nerve-wracking for me, you know, because I cared about what people thought. And this book really just kind of centered me and gave me permission to to write, to help me understand what it is that my art is trying to do. And I loved this so much that I just marked it up like a crazy person. This was given to me by a coworker and my life has forever been changed because of this book, because I have added a new lens on my life scope and I can't look back. I love this book. It's fantastic. Number 9 is obviously a John Green book. It is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This book, it wasn't so much about cancer patients or cancer survivors or, you know, 2 people with cancer falling in love. It wasn't about that for me. Is this upside down? Yes. It wasn't about that for me. It was about a lot of life lessons and learning about who you are as a person. And there are so many fantastic quotes in this book. And this is the first copy I've ever owned. This is the only copy I ever owned. I don't know why I said that. But then I met John Green last year and he actually signed it for me to Christina Marie, DFTBA. Don't forget to be awesome, John Green. And that increased the value of this book. I just never thought that life could be so beautiful and so amazing, and I thought I was living life to the fullest, but no, read this book and you will learn that you are just beginning your life and live it with every ounce of energy that you have. That is what I got from this book, and I will never look at life the same again. The next book is by Dr. Henry Cloud and it's called Changes That Heal. This is a book that I needed. This was probably about a year and a half ago, where I was just struggling with so much junk that wasn't my responsibility. I was taking on too much from other people. I was letting people dictate my life. I was giving so many yeses that I forgot to exercise my no muscle, and learning to understand that it's okay to say no to people and how they react to your no is their responsibility, not yours. And that piece of advice just blew my mind. And when I finally understood and received that information, a whole bunch of weight just lifted from my shoulders. And I began to think through the lens of, okay, what is my responsibility in this problem? And what is your responsibility? And where do we draw the line? Ever since I've started looking at life through that scope, I have been so stress-free. I have been stress-free. The only stress that I feel is stress that I impose upon myself from my own life doings, not because somebody else's stresses are being absorbed by me. So this book, life-changing, influential for me. The next book is a series actually that I read when I was in middle school. And it's Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. This is a classic. This is a classic that was written several decades ago. And I love this series. It's about a girl who moves to this countryside area. She's adopted by, I forget their last names. She's adopted, and you know, she's just growing up and living life, going through puberty, adolescence, growing up, falling in love. It's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story. And I was introduced to Anne of Green Gables when I was in the 7th grade or 8th grade, something like that. And I haven't looked back. And I love that series. It is a series that I can't wait to share with my kids in the future. It was just honest and true and genuine and just a beautiful story. I just get chills and smiles just thinking about Anne of Green Gables. So yeah. Number 6 on the list is Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. I don't have the hardback version. I have the paperback. And my Hunger Games is also paperback, but my Mockingjay is hardback. There's a problem. But yeah, so Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. This book here was so amazing to me. Okay, the reason why it was so influential to me, yes, there are a lot of parallels between politics, you know, and socioeconomic issues and, you know, just a bunch of sociology, all that kind of stuff. But the reason why this book was so influential to me, because it forced me to really think and evaluate my life. One of my biggest fears on the face of this planet is to not be in control of my own life, to have other people controlling what I do and what I say without me knowing. And if you have read this trilogy, you know exactly what I'm talking about in this book, because that is the situation that Katniss finds herself in. It is, spoiler alert, the big plot reveal at the end of this book. And when I read this book, when I finished it, I couldn't breathe. I honestly couldn't breathe because I was living out my fear in this book. And I ended up calling a coworker. I was at work when I finished this book. I ended up calling a coworker to come to my desk and sit with me for a minute because I told her I can't process. Like I am feeling too much right now. And it probably took me a good 6 months to process before I moved on to Mockingjay, which is actually number 5 on the list. Mockingjay is my favorite book of the Hunger Games trilogy. This book was perfection. I was scared about reading this book because so many people said that they didn't like it, and I don't understand why. I loved this book. Everything that Katniss did, everything that everyone did in this book made complete sense to me based on the circumstances. And the reason why this is so influential to me is because at one part in the book, Katniss was forced to make the decision of, do we end this long-running Hunger Games tradition, or do we flip it and let the Capitol experience what we've been experiencing for years? That moment in this book was the most pivotal and the most influential moment of the series for me personally, because it forced me to turn the mirror on myself and think about what I would do in that particular situation. And it draws back to the Henry Cloud book that I just shared with you guys. What part of this situation is my responsibility and what part of the situation is your responsibility? For Katniss, what part of the situation was her responsibility and what part was the Capitol's responsibility? And, you know, how were they both going to handle it? And she had to make a really tough choice as to whether or not, do we just end it and protect the Capitol's children, or do the Capitol's children have to go in and become tributes, you know, for the Hunger Games? Do we flip the script? The moment that scene happened, I just knew that this book was going to forever be ingrained in my mind. Number 4 on the list is another one I don't own yet, and it's called Please Ignore Vera Dietz by A.S. King. Really, all of A.S. King's books are really influential for me, but Please Ignore Vera Dietz was one that really stuck with me because, again, I turned the mirror on myself in this particular situation. Please Ignore Vera Dietz. It's about a girl named Vera who is dealing with the death of her best friend Charlie. Right before Charlie's death, he and Vera had become not enemies, but they had fallen you know, apart because Charlie, you know, made some decisions and whatnot, and Vera just wasn't understanding what he was doing. He'd fallen in with the wrong crowd, and, you know, he kind of turned on Vera. And so Charlie dies due to a specific situation that may or may not have painted him in a bad light. It is up to Vera to clear Charlie's name. She struggles with having that responsibility, as well as trying to decide whether or not she even wants to do that because Charlie hurt her so much. And that is a really tough situation to be in. But again, it forced me to turn the mirror on myself, and it just really made me think, if given a specific situation, like, how would I even respond to someone who ripped their friendship away from me, but it is up to me, the power to clear their name and to, you know, give them their life back. Sorry for that horrible pun because Charlie's dead. It's that kind of thing is up to me. Like, how would I handle that situation? And that is just something that's been ingrained, you know, on my soul since I read the book. I can't get that predicament out of my mind. And it's just a life altering question, really. And it's a question of character, I think, in my opinion, too. So there are a lot of character questions within this book that I really, really enjoyed and I really took to heart. Number 3, another book I don't own, but it is so far my favorite book of 2014. It's called Aristotle and Dante, Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sanz. Oh my goodness gracious. This book, and I've done a review on it, but this book was everything. It deals with things that I've dealt with, you know, before, you know, family secrets and, you know, struggling with your identity and, you know, making friends, you know, struggling to make friends and being accepted and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But the friendship between Aristotle and Dante is what really made me fall in love with this book and made me really take it to heart and just love these characters. These characters I fell in love with immediately. When they were angry, I was angry. When they cried, I cried. When, you know, they were happy, I was happy. I have never felt that in tune with characters before in my entire life. And so I can't let that book go because Benjamin Alire Sanz just wrote it so beautifully. And I, to this day, can't get over how beautiful that experience was. And I'm almost humbled to have read that book because I can't look at life the same again because it was Ari, or Aristotle's character, was so complex and so simple at the same time. And you honestly just grow and learn at the same pace that he's growing and learning. You can't even allude to things that you think, you can't even assume anything with these characters because it's just so organic that to make an assumption about what they're going to do or what they're going to think or what's going to happen is almost an insult to the book. Letting it unfold as it is, that's what I have to do. That's what this book forces you to do, is just let it unfold as it is. And it was just amazing. It was amazing. I'm tearing up just thinking about how amazing that book was. Number 2, you know she's on my list. Cassandra Clare. This is The City of Glass, which is the 3rd book in the Mortal Instruments series. This was actually supposed to be the final book. It was supposed to be a trilogy. It was supposed to be City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass. But then, you know, she made the other 2. And the 6th one is coming out in May. Anyway, this book here is my favorite book of the series thus far. This is where my book boyfriend, Jace, he is my favorite book boyfriend. He's not the only, but he is my favorite book boyfriend. This is where he just gets his heart's desire. This is where things happen for him that I cried when things came together for him. When he and Clary were finally able to be on the same page and to have their moment and to just be able to be with one another without really having to worry about anyone else or anyone's feelings or things coming and going and happening. I needed that moment for them because I connected with Jay so much that I wanted him to just have good things in his life. I wanted him to be able to smile and be happy, and Clary gave him that. And I just wanted them to have just their one moment of just, I love you. I want to be with you. You are my everything. I wanted that for them. And this book gave it to me. And when this book happened for me, I cried. I mean, buckets, because I just needed that for Jace. I didn't realize how much I needed that for him and for Clary, but mostly for Jace. Didn't realize how much until it happened. At the end of this book, just his declaration of intense and deep love for her just did me in, and I will never, ever, as long as I live, forget that moment. I think about it more times than I care to admit how beautiful that experience was. I'm a sap. Number 1 on the list, I am cheating a little bit because it's technically 2 books, but it is my Bible, of course, the most influential book, yeah, but the book that influenced me to start reading my Bible is right here. You can't really see it, but it's Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. This is a devotional where you can read a little bit of every day. And it gives you a Bible verse to focus on for that day. And this book is the only reason I have started reading the Bible, because the Bible intimidates me. Like, look how thick and big this thing is. It's pretty because I like pretty things. But I didn't know how to even approach the Bible until this book happened. Like, as a matter of fact, what is today? March 11th. On the inside here, this is perfect. It gives you a little blurb right here on what to focus on for the day, and it gives you a couple of Bible verses, and I go to those Bible verses in my Bible, I highlight them or underline them, and I just recite them and process and think of them, think on them. And so far it has been a huge success. So my number 1 is these 2 things combined. This is really the foundation of why I even wake up in the morning, and take a breath each morning. You guys know that I'm a Christian. You guys know I'm a flawed Christian. I'm definitely a flawed Christian. I have all kinds, of issues, as do all people. Me and my friend were talking the other day about something, and then there's this little Facebook blog post thing that's going around. I love the Lord, but I do curse a little. And that's me. Like, I love, the Lord, but I have some habits, and you guys know this because I say things on here sometimes. I don't have the most angelic language, and it's something that I'm working on, but sometimes you just need to say what you need to say. And like I said, work in progress. Have mercy, but I don't think that I would even enjoy my life if I didn't have these books to keep me grounded. So, yeah. All right, that is it for this video. My top 10 most influential books. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would love to know what your most influential books are. If you want to comment down below sharing what those are, make sure you guys are subscribed to my channel. I greatly appreciate the fact that I almost have 1,000 subscribers, which is amazing. Yes, there will be a giveaway once I hit 1,000 subscribers. Because this is a multifaceted channel, I will do 3 separate giveaways, one for books, one for music, one for beauty. So yeah, but I'll hash out all those details when we get closer to 1,000 or once we hit 1,000. I am so excited. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.